So let me show you as fast as I can a general introduction to Python. Let's start with variables. So in Python, Python is not a strongly typed language, which means that you could do x equal 1, and then you could do x equal string, and there's no typing, so you could change whatever you want. If you'd like to give some hints to tell to other programmers or to document your code what is the type of the variable that you're using, you could do it this way. So you name of the variable, two dots, whatever, and the name of the type, the building type. This is for variables. If now let's see functions. So functions is defined this way. Define whatever. This is without putting any type, and this is if you want the return type. This function is returning nothing. So if you want to say to the other programmers that this function return nothing, there's also a possibility to return two values. So you could do like this: def fnc whatever, and then you do two dots, and then you do return. If I'm not mistaken, return, and then you could say 1, 2. So you could return two values when you're using functions, and this could be returned like this. You would call xv equals function, and then you could print this. So print x, print v, and this will return 1 and 2. This will print 1 and 2. Let me just try to make sure, not making a mistake. So Python 3 functions py, and this will work. So it prints 2, and it does not print 1 because it doesn't want to print 1. X equal int, v is int, and this should work. Because it didn't save it. Okay, so this should work. See, 1, 2. Okay, now this is how you call a function. Not too complicated like the other languages. The only things that you have in Python, there's no I said in English accolade. You don't use this, but what you do is like you go to the next line and you do space. If you want to do everything in the same line, then you go like this. But this is only when you have one line. When you have two or more lines, you will not have any choice to do it this way. And then just make sure that you don't make this mistake where you define more stuff, but you don't indent properly, and then it's not going to work. If you define a function that doesn't have nothing inside, so then you will define it this way: def fnc whatever f this way, and if it has nothing inside, you just write the word pass. Otherwise, it's not going to compile. You won't be able to execute it. This is for functions. For the loops. So loops works this way. First, you have this is how you make a table. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is an empty. Let's say you just want to declare a variable with like give nothing to it, like put it in nothing, but you want it to be a table. So you'll be able to call the append function or do table stuff. So this is how you do it. This is how you iterate through the element of the table. If you just want to have from a certain element to a certain element, then you could put it this way with range. And if you put else, it's just going to write something at the end of the I'm sorry, it's going to execute the else at the end of the loop. So this is for loop. Class, so that's very interesting. I'm sorry, if you want to have a class, or this is how you write a class. These are the attributes of the class. Attribute 1, attribute 2. Here I give the int, whatever it is. This is a constructor, so every time you build a class, you have to, this code will run. This is a normal function, and this is a static function. The difference between them is that this one gets a parameter which is self, this one not. So when you call it, you see I said, when you call it function 1, you don't have to put the self, because the self is going to be put automatically. And this is how you call a function. Static method, I believe you could do this too if you want. And then you call the static method. So this is for the static. Print, this will print, well, whatever it says here. And this is the destructor. So if you have something that opens a connection to a file, and then you do whatever it is, or a database, whatever it is, and when the object is deleted, you want to liberate the source. Free the source, I'm sorry, liberate the French. To free the element, whatever it is that this class uses, you could use the delete thing. This is the toString thing, so which means that when you have a variable and you want it to be converted to string automatically, like here I have instance 1 and I want to convert it to string. I don't have to convert myself, I don't have to do anything, I just do str or whatever it is. I could just print the instance and it will convert it to string automatically, because this function is defined here. If you want to know the type of the class or the variable, whatever it is, by the way, you could do print type and then you put the name of the variable and it'll give you the type. This will be, let's see, classes, let's try Python 3 space class dot py. So you see here, that is the type. This will give me the type. You could use it for other stuff, whatever it is, when you do whatever. Now, class, other concept. Okay, so this we did, class function change. So this is very interesting in Python. You have a class, you have the name, the function of the class, whatever it is, and in this class you have a function. You call the function, and this function, as you see, is going to print whatever you send to it. So this will print dd. But then you rename you define another function, and you take the instance, whatever it is, whatever it is, and you give it a different function. This means that next time you're calling this function, this will be run, and not this one. So here the first time is going to print dd, and the second one is going to print new implementation. If you want to see it, let's do this fast. Python. Okay, I'm getting out of time here. Okay. Python 3 class change fnc.py. If it doesn't work, we'll have to, okay, dd, you see the, okay, whatever it is. Now, classes. Okay, so this is how you define a class. I think we already saw this. 4 we did, function we did, static variables. Okay, so this is a very interesting point. So when you have a static variable, so this is a static variable because this is a variable that is defined in the class. So any attribute that is defined in a class is a classic variable. So you could do, for example here, you could do the name of the class equals the static variable, and this now we instantiate an instance, so a1 equal a whatever you see there. So this is an instantiation of the class A, and then let's go back to this one. So I have a1 which is an instance. I have A1 static verb, which is not a static, and then I have A, which is a static, which says a static variable. Look at this funny stuff. Now it's going to say A2 new instance. So A1 that static variable. This will give me, since it has been the variable content has been changed, this will write not a static variable. This when I do A2 dot static variable, it will print the information which is in the static variable, which is right now static var. So here you're accessing the static variable from an instance. And then if I do the name of the class dot static var, this will print static var, which is the the static variable. And then I change the static variable content, and then I print A2. Since I never did A2 dot static variable equals something, A2, when you do A2 dot static variable, it will give you that variable which is static. It's not going to take an instance one. Now I'm going to do A2 dot static variable equal whatever it is. So I just changed the the content of static variable for A2, which means that it's going to make a copy in the memory and it's going to use a new variable for this one. So this means if I go back and print A1, name of the class again, it's going to print ZZ. Other concepts. So there is other stuff that is not covered here. More information into, there's generics like how do you call it, C# and Java as generics, so Python also has generics. More into classes. Okay, you can have inheritance and all this kind of stuff in Python, which I never used personally. And then you have test and mock. So I didn't cover all those because test and mock is a concept by itself. But the other concept is just I never used it, so I didn't see the use of it. And I didn't make this too long. If you have any questions, leave any comment. Press the like button and subscribe. Thank you.